And we are back, and we just finished watching 1939's masterpiece, The Wizard of Oz. This movie is rated G for general audiences, and it clocks in at 1 hour and 42 minutes. This comes to us from director Victor Fleming and King Vidor, it looks like, uncredited, with writing credits to Noel Langley, Florence, Ryerson, Edgar, Allan, Woolf, from the book by L. Frank Baum. This is the story of Dorothy Gale, played by the absolutely transcendent Judy Garland, as a young girl who at the start of the film is trying to get her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry to listen to her about Miss Gulch, sort of like the neighborhood Biddy, who is just a big pain in the neck and is not liked by Toto the dog. And rightly so, kind of a jerk. And she comes over and she's telling Aunt Em and Uncle Henry that she wants to have the sheriff put the dog down. So this is a film from 1939 and something that you and I grew up with a lot. This played a lot on Channel 11 over the years.
Yes.
We've had to have seen this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. It's kind of interesting because I tried to get our kids to watch it and they've never had any inclination to ever sit through this masterpiece.
I think the first time we got them to watch, they were very young, and I remember, well, Olive just never really paid it. She was so young that she wasn't really paying attention to stuff. And G, I think as soon as she heard singing, it was just over.
She gets that from you.
And the years have gone by, and they've just never wanted to give it another chance. They've seen musicals since then.
Yeah.
In fact, we went and saw the play Wicked, and Olive loved that.
Olive loved that. Yeah. And that's based off this.
It's based off this.
Yeah. And
I've
forced them to watch Singing in the Rain.
They've watched Singing in the Rain. They've watched The Greatest Showman.
Right, which they love.
I think I read the books to them, or one of the books, the L. Baum Oz series books to the kids when I used to read to them when they went to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just never got into this film.
I think right now it's just them being stubborn. I think if they gave it a shot, they might like it.
I think they would.
Because this film holds up.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw this when I was a little kid. I think the first time I ever saw it, actually, I saw it in a theater. It was like a...
Radio City?
It may have been Radio City. I just remember my mom, or maybe it was my Aunt Angela, I don't know, but... it was like a special showing, and I think we saw like 2 different movies, and this was one of them, and it was like the first time I saw it. And it was great. And I was a little boy. Little boys don't really give a crap about musicals, but
but I think that this is one of those films that is like so freaking entertaining. I mean, we're coming off, it's 1939, right? It is like we're getting ready to get engaged into World War II, I guess, at this point, and just everything is about movies. It's about entertainment. The business of Hollywood is so important in the cultural life. There's no cable. You know what I mean? There's no TV, really.
Well, I mean, you read me that stat before, that the first time they showed it on television in, what, 54?
56.
44 million people watched it.
You don't get numbers like that
that's
anymore.
Like the entire viewing audience of every channel now. Yeah. Like I remember the last big one was like MASH, and it was like 8 million people watched it or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
How much? 44 million.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a buttload of people.
Yeah.
That's an entire country's worth of people.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, this movie is just, it's so iconic. I mean, just sitting through it now, like you see like the pop culture influences throughout the decades of this film.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's been parodied ad nauseum. And just the things that come from this film are really interesting. Not even just the lines of, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore, and
pay no attention to the man behind
the curtain. Right. These are all like iconic lines. And just saying those lines, you know where it comes from. I mean, I don't know about this generation, but for you and I, people that grew up with this, I mean, we grew up with like was it Sunday? Sunday was like Abbott and Costello and like
Yeah.
the little rascals. I think it was Saturdays, and just the movies. I mean, channels. I mean, before Oprah, Channel 7 used to have the 4:00 movie that ran until 6, and then you got the news, right?
Yeah.
There were. Before talk shows were even a thing, it was movies.
Yeah.
Movies that got played, right?
Before we started destroying ourselves with trash TV.
Exactly. So, and this is like old Hollywood. Everything about this film is old Hollywood.
Yeah.
It is just top to bottom. I mean, when they go into the sequence of her going into Oz, where it goes from sepia to all this bright Technicolor, and Technicolor itself is an art form. They don't do that anymore because it was so freaking expensive. But if you look at, like, I know you hate the red shoes, but that, like, those Powell and Pressburger movies are Technicolor, and they're just so vibrant. I remember as a kid watching this movie, and like when she comes out into Oz, I'm like, I want to eat the whole frame. Like, it just looked like candy to me. Like the flowers and just
the leaves,
like
everything.
everything looked like you could just pop it in your mouth.
Glazed in sugar.
Yes, and just the color palette on this thing is just, it's like a dream to me. It's like so vibrant and alive. It almost becomes almost like a secondary character here. But getting back to this film, it's so impressive. I mean, I am now in my 50s watching this, and I'm still entertained. I'm still transported back to watching this on Channel 11 on our little TV screen in the living room as an 8-year-old kid or however old I was the first time I saw this, and just being completely mesmerized by the story. Never scared. Because I don't think that...
No, I mean, it's funny when you read about how they had to put it through so many processes, and they had to trim scenes and delete scenes and
Margaret Hamilton.
Get rid of things because the witch was too scary. And yeah, I never felt...
kids today would be like, huh? What?
I mean, no, kids are right. Well, when we were kids, I never thought the witch was scary.
We were seeing just inappropriate... horror trash too, so this paled in comparison.
Maybe we were different cases because I'd see The Wizard of Oz and then I'd see like Prophecy, the film about the mutant bear eating people, or eaten alive or something like that.
Or even like,
maybe we weren't the normal kids. I don't know, but I never knew. I
know that because I was taken to a lot of just nonsense films, but like. All like that 70s horror from Italy, just
my
trash
God,
horror.
Just absolute horror. Everybody's everybody's blood looks like ketchup.
Yes,
and then there's just tits everywhere.
Exactly. Good God.
Yeah.
Oh, the old days.
Oh yes. But like I don't remember any of my friends being scared of it.
No,
and it's funny watching it now. I haven't seen it in years and years.
Same.
Like, I probably haven't watched the Wizard of Oz since we tried watching it with the kids. Like about a decade ago.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Like I seriously, the Cowardly Lion is awesome. He's like my favorite guy.
Yeah.
He's so ridiculous.
What was that line of the song? We were like, what does that even mean?
Why is the ape an apricot? Bravery, that's why. Courage, that's why. It's just like what? I guess they did say he drank a lot, so maybe he ad-libbed that lyric. Why is the ape an apricot?
No, the wizard was the drinker, Frank Morgan.
Oh, okay.
He was the one that was like getting his suit air dried because apparently that thing was heavy.
The lion was.
Yeah.
He was sweating a ton. That and like
they should have created his suit like they did the Fremen suits and.
Oh yeah. Dude. No, but the thing that's like weird is like it's like it was made out of an actual lion skin. Why?
Because authenticity. It's 1939.
The Cowardly Lion was method.
Yes, exactly. Eat that, Marlon Brando.
In between takes, he was licking his own genitals and. they would
chasing the munchkins,
chasing the munchkins and devouring them. Back then though, you could have done that. I mean, they were what were they paying? They were $50 a week. The dog made like 3 times more than them.
Making 3 times as much.
Everybody was just like, their lungs were full of like aluminum powder and asbestos from the makeup and the snow and everything.
Yes, I did a quick little run through some of the
in 1939.
The IMDb trivia, and some of those facts are just horrifying.
Jesus, like poor Buddy
like
Ebsen.
The people in Munchkin Land making $50 a week while Toto the dog was making $125. God damn it.
And they're like working like 20 hours a day, 6 days a week.
6 days. Jeez. And that dog is probably doing like what, 2 hours of work per day and then just chilling.
Yeah.
That Fuker.
Yeah, that was a good dog, man.
Hey, that was a good dog.
Seriously.
We haven't said anything. We've just been rambling. So getting back to this, I've never read the book, so I don't know, and I don't remember you reading. Well, I know that you read to the kids. I don't remember what books you read. I know that you went through you did all the Potter books, and I know that you did a bunch of Grimm stuff. But
Grimm's fairy tales are the best.
Yes. But I don't remember the Wizard of Oz ones, but I'm sure you did because I bought a ton of books.
We had like a collection of them, and I don't think any of them were the actual Wizard of Oz. Maybe they were like the stuff because apparently there's like several Oz stories.
Yeah,
and like I think the one I read had some guy with a pumpkin for a head.
That's weird.
I don't remember the exact details, but the artwork in them was pretty cool too.
Yeah. So getting back to this film, you mentioned you hadn't seen it in a couple of years. I guess
really? Really long time. And I think
it.
the last time was like I said, when we tried to kids watch it like a decade ago, and I don't think we made it through a viewing of it.
No, we
and plus
maybe
it's
got
like
through the first 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, and that was it.
And you're not really paying attention because you're trying to see the kids. You're basking in their enjoyment of the film, right. And then it's sort of just like this song singing, and it's just like, oh.
But it's so, you know what's so weird? Like, okay, obviously the kids were a little older and we were doing the podcast at the time, but I love, and I know that you love this too, like their reaction to Time Bandits. Like they enjoyed the crap out of that movie.
That makes you feel good.
And that makes you feel good, right? Yeah. And like, okay, this is pre the podcast when we were still living in Weehawken, but I forced you guys to watch the Children's Hour with me, the one with Shirley MacLaine and Audrey Hepburn and James Garner. And like the kids enjoyed that too.
Yeah. And
it was so funny because it was like, it's a black and white movie and I didn't think that the kids were going to sit through it, but they sat through it and they were like, that little kid's a jerk, man. You know? And I was like, yeah, you tell her. But it's weird because it's hit or miss. I mean, you would think that a movie that looks like the definition of candy would be like on everybody's hit parade, but they just couldn't. I think it's just the sing. But it's weird because I know I've made them. You know watch what?
We should have. I guess we should have waited.
Yeah.
Until maybe they were more tolerant and. When they're little kids, it's just like, I'd rather be watching Cartoon Network. Why are they making me watch this?
Yeah. Well, now, I mean...
Pace it out, people. If you want your kids to enjoy the stuff that you enjoyed when you were young, there's like a little gold... There's like a sweet spot in there. It's not when they're too little. It's not when they're too old.
Yeah.
There's a point there.
Yeah. Yeah. Where they enjoy your company and they want to be with you and they want to do the things that you do because they're so enamored of you. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, can they sit? I mean, it's not a long movie. I mean, by today's standards, but
I'm sure they could probably tolerate it now. Like they've seen enough musicals.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I feel like we live in TikTok era, so
that's also,
everything is like 3 minutes or less. Otherwise, you've lost me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in the ancient form of long form entertainment. That
no. Oh my goodness. And we actually had to watch movies with commercials. Remember?
Oh God, yeah.
Could our children survive the olden days?
Yeah.
We pay extra to go ad free.
Terrible.
I don't know if it's the nostalgia. I mean, I feel like the script is just a banger.
Yeah,
It's a cute.
It's a cute story. It's a simple story. The pacing, it goes very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's just like a simple quest, and it's funny because the Scarecrow wants a brain, and the Tin Man wants a heart, and the Lion wants courage. But they've got it all along. They just don't know they got it. Mm-hmm. And then it's explained to them, and it's just it's seriously, it's geared towards kids. It's made for kids,
Absolutely.
and it's got great catchy songs in it.
Yeah.
The witch is awesome.
She really is.
Just she is the quintessential cackling, pointy chin, pointy nose. Great outfit, flying around on a broom. She's got the flying monkeys. The monkeys look deranged.
So cool, yeah.
The effects for its time are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were very creative with the effects too.
Yeah.
I mean, they were we read how they created the tornado
with like fabric, muslin,
with fabric and like twisting it around and blowing it, and
wind going up.
Yeah, you'd think that was that's a twister in the background.
Yeah.
And how they make the everything. They were very creative with this movie. You could see what was the budget, like $2 million.
$2 million, yeah.
And that's back then. That's 39. That's like freaking.
That's like
Avatar money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So yeah.
So,
but you could see it. I mean, you see all the extras that are being used. You see all the set pieces, the costuming, the makeup. The makeup alone must be worth a king's ransom.
And like apparently the guy who directed it wasn't the first director, and there's like they filmed
like 3 or 4.
They filmed so much from the other guy.
Yeah.
And they just changed. They were just like, nah, this is not good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll
either reshoot or we'll just chop it in there.
Yeah,
because you know what, that makes sense, because when you look at the scenes of the witch's castle, they're darker, and I don't know if that's intentional, but it did feel like a different film. So those scenes, all of that was replaced. The guy, I thought they kept some. No, they replaced everything. The old footage of the witch's castle had Buddy Ebsen as the Tin Man. Oh, right.
Yeah,
that's something I didn't know until today either, that he was the original Tin Man. But because
he was
of
the original
allergies and
that was even more twisted, because he was the original Scarecrow, and then Bulger was like, "Could I be the Scarecrow, because a friend of mine or somebody I know played that part, and it sort of means something to me, because Bulger was supposed to be the Tin Man, and Ebsen was supposed to be the Scarecrow." Bulger took over they did a role swap. Ebsen got into the makeup of the Tin Man, and apparently the makeup was just aluminum powder that went into his lungs, and he couldn't breathe anymore. He had to be hospitalized. And then they got the other guy. They were just like, okay, yeah, the other guy, he just didn't want to be the part anymore. It wasn't that they almost murdered him with covering him in aluminum powder.
I'm assuming this is before OSHA rules and stuff.
Yeah, OSHA didn't exist. I think I mentioned that earlier. Because seriously, they didn't. I mean, the witch with like a 2nd-degree burns on her face because her makeup had like metal in it. Oh my God. And then they're like, oh, we got to take the makeup off, and like we're going to use acetone on your charred flesh.
Oh, and this scene where you're walking in snow, it's asbestos. What the hell?
Yeah, I know this. I know they're saying it causes cancer, but don't worry about it.
You're only in it for a little bit.
Yeah. Just try and hold your breath.
My God. Everybody's service paid off, because it is a banger. It still holds up. The music is lovely. I mean, I cannot believe that they almost took Over the Rainbow out of there.
That's shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what? That is such an iconic song. Yeah. And honestly, sometimes when you read things about movies and you watch it and you're like, oh, I couldn't see anybody else play this role. But I truly, in my heart, believe no one could have done this but Judy Garland. There is lore about how I think originally the studio wanted Shirley Temple. And if you think about that, that would have been a different film, first of all. I mean, it would have been more in line with Baum's novel, because it was supposed to be a younger girl.
Yeah.
And according to IMDb trivia, they put her in like some kind of crazy corset where she probably couldn't even breathe, because they wanted to make her less curvaceous and more of a young girl's body.
Yeah, I can't imagine
The
anybody else
craziness of
being.
old Hollywood.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody else being the
Dorothy.
parts that were, or any of the
Yeah.
parts really.
Yeah, yeah.
Because apparently the witch too.
Yes.
They were like,
So
we want a sexy witch.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, there's a line in the movie about witches, the evil ones having to be ugly.
Ugly, right.
So they put the ugly makeup on the sexy actress, and she was just like, I don't want to be this.
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
So they hired
Margaret Hamilton.
Margaret Hamilton. And she is the Wicked Witch.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's
That
been
cackle
mimicked, copied,
is- yeah.
the cackle.
So
she
on
is
point.
literally iconic. When you
Yeah.
see a Halloween decoration, it's Margaret
It
Hamilton.
is Margaret Hamilton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that she is the precursor for just like I was saying before, like you look at this film and you look at, I mean, this came out in 1939. So obviously this was the gold standard for so many of us who then became adults, who then became storytellers and filmmakers and just even novelists just have aped and parodied that example. I mean, and you brought up a great example, Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked was a deviation of this particular story, where the Wicked Witch character is actually more sympathetic. And it's like a reimagining of the Oz story, which is also just a banger. It's like, it's interesting when you take a property that's so beloved, that's so revered, and you make something else from it. And I think that property is also successful as a Broadway show. And now it's going to go into the theaters because they've made that into a movie with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Reno. So I'm curious to see that too. I'm sure it's going to be great. They're both just fantastic singers. So on that point, I'm sure it's just going to go over really, really well. Any other thoughts about this film?
No, I mean, this is a classic. This is something that everybody should see at least once. I think you'll love it. It's like the story is very simple. It's basically a quest. It's I think one of the other things we read was that it is like a original American myth.
Fairy tale. Yeah.
It really is. It's an original fairy tale, and you got everything there. There's, like I said, there's the quest to getting lost, trying to find your way back home, meeting these fantastic and interesting characters, the fact that they all want something that they all secretly have but don't know it yet.
Right.
Everything at the end is explained. It's heartwarming. You believe the friendship, even though like they just meet. Because of the actors, because of the way they interact, because of the songs, it's like, okay, yeah, they're good friends.
Buds.
They love each other. They're going to engage on this quest and get the job done.
Yeah.
And you got a great villain.
Yeah.
The just the way that everything is shot is just beautiful. The dog isn't annoying. The dog is great.
The dog is great.
Toto's awesome.
Played by Terry the Terrier.
Yeah.
It's actually a girl dog.
He's a smart freaking dog. Because, I mean, they said, we're going to do 12 takes to get it to run alongside. But most of everything they showed, that dog was just like
obedient.
He wasn't struggling.
No.
They were picking him up. They were running around with him.
Yeah.
Awesome work by the dog.
Yeah. I mean, they must have slathered her in bacon grease, Judy Garland, because that dog looked at her like she was a sunny delight on a hot day. Yeah. Seriously. That dog never, like, its focus never strayed from Judy Garland.
Yeah.
Ever.
And, yeah, everything was great. The wizard.
Yeah, he was great.
He plays so many parts.
Yes.
And that's another thing. When I watched it this time, it's the first time I noticed, my God, he's like most of the employees of the wizard.
Yes.
The wizard basically filled his staff with himself in different outfits. And then the effect with the wizard, or the big giant floating head and the flames and you silence and the lion running down the hallway and diving through a window.
God damn, that's one of my favorite scenes.
So perfect.
And I'm glad you brought up the head, because that too has been aped and parodied in science fiction stuff.
Big giant floating head.
Always, whether
But
it's
that-
30 Rock from the Sun or
Yeah.
like Futurama or whatever
Rick
it
and
is.
Morty.
Rick and Morty. It's
But this
there.
one's the best because
Yeah.
it's just there's flames. He's insulting them. He's you
like an
clattering
insult comic.
pile of coliferous garbage.
Yes. All of that.
He is just so damn rude. And then the classic line: "Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain."
And it's funny because Toto once again is the smartest character
smartest
in the whole damn story.
The only one who looks over like 10 feet to the left and is just like, "What the fuck?
What's
is that?"
this? Oh gosh, yeah. What a treat. I mean, this is an absolute classic. If you haven't seen it, run, do not walk, and check it out. It's playing. We caught it on Max. It was kind of interesting the way it was presented because I guess
It's like TCM through Max.
TCM through Max, which
So
is
they have
very
the
bizarre.
intro and the outro.
Yeah, with Ben Mankiewicz. But-
Who gives some interesting trivia.
Yes, absolutely. But it was still jarring because then they had to throw like the Max logo in at one point, and I was like, "What is this? What is going on here?"
It's because you got it. Everybody, look at me.
Look at me.
Look
Pay
at
attention to me.
Yeah, I'm bringing you this. Love me.
I hope that whatever nonsense is going on at Max, I hope that TCM survives because TCM is such an institution. I cannot imagine losing such a vital resource for cinema, whether it's stuff that you barely see, that you always see. I mean, let's be honest. They play Singing in the Rain a lot on that station, and rightly so. It's like one of my favorite musicals, but I can understand why you people are sick of seeing it by now. And I get it. I do. But just other things, like I just saw, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Sorry. Just indulge me. I just saw Two Women, DeSika's, which had been on my list for a long time.
I wish you didn't make me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Watch that ending.
Not for everyone, but if you love stories, if you are interested in film, you should absolutely try to get that on your docket to watch. It is moving and gut-wrenching at the same time, but this is the power of cinema. When you can tell a story, this is a movie in Italy, in Italian, you have to read subtitles, but the themes and the messaging here are so universal. It's about struggle and heartache and violence and the effects of war and just so many different things, and bringing it back to this story. This is about fantasy and love and forgiveness and hope and family, and again, there's no place like home. What a powerful message. When you go on your adventures, when you grow up, you're not a child anymore and you go out into the world, there's this nostalgia and this beauty and memory. And I love my life. I love my life so much. I've been very blessed. But I also miss being young, being surrounded by my parents who are no longer here. So when I watch stuff like this, it is such a tribute to them because of my dad mostly. I have such an appreciation for storytelling, and I love old Hollywood so much. This is how my dad wanted to learn the language of his new country, and I inherited that. I inherited that love of storytelling and films and just larger than life stories. And I'm forever grateful for that. And having the ability to watch this film whenever is such a gift. It's such a gift and it's so appreciated. And again, I hope that these companies that own the rights to these just absolute cinematic gems don't do a disservice to the greater population and remove them or take them away. It's not right. This is part of our cultural history. This is part of cinema, the art of cinema. And I think that everyone should have the opportunity to watch this, whether you're an adult who's just trying to reminisce about a simpler time of life or a young person who's making their way in the world and wants to connect. We learn so much. We use it as a vehicle to open up dialogue with our kids. And I think this is also a powerful medium and a powerful way to bring families together through the magic of storytelling and shared experiences. And if you can get to Max, do yourself a favor and check out 1939. This movie is almost 100 years old, folks. It's almost 100 years old and it still slaps, as the young people say, or maybe they don't say that anymore. But this is just
It's great.
What a lovely, lovely movie experience. I mean, as a kid, I enjoyed it. As an adult, I love it. And nothing makes me misty more than the Tin Man saying, "Now I know I have a heart because it's breaking." Whenever I hear that, I think about my parents so much. And it's such a gift. Remembrance, shared memories, there's such a gift. And, I think it all ties in very nicely. Yeah, just...
yeah, if you haven't seen it,
if you
shame
haven't
on you.
seen it, shame on you. Absolutely. Go see
Go watch
it.
The Wizard of Oz. It's still good.
It's still good, even after all this time. So good. On a scale of 1 to 10, can you improve on this? Absolutely not. I'm going to give this a 10.
I'll give it a 9.5.
That's more than a 9.5, and you know it.
All right, 9.75.
If you round it up, much like Eternal Sunshine. All right. I want to take a minute and say this episode of the podcast is dedicated to one of my favorite people on the planet, one of my oldest friends, one of my dearest friends. Lenny, I love you, and I will see you soon.
Happy birthday, Uncle Leo. That was horrible. Can we try that again?
Sure. We can do it again. Okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Uncle Leo.
And with that, we are going to bid you all a
Good night.
good night.